When I was in a casino in Egypt, yeah, Kenya. I'm sorry. When I was in a casino in Kenya, um, I I guess I have a certain degree of risk taking personality, and and playing blackjack or craps, kind of that second before the dice turns or the second before the card turns, um, and I'm pretty good at blackjack, so I tend to win. And in this case, I think I won like $600. Don't get me wrong, it's not absolute because there are times where I take an L, in which case I don't play for like years because it hurts. But in this case, I won, so gold star for that. But while I was there, my wife, she also won. She was there with me, by my side, Bonnie and Clyde doing our thing. And at the table was a gentleman from Denmark. And as my wife and I kind of moved away from, I think we were getting something to drink or something, him and I started a conversation. This conversation became overtly political, in which case my wife was like, oh my God. This conversation lasted for about 4 hours, and he out-talked me where he got to the point where I was like, all right, I can't, I gotta go. I can't stay here. Now, not just that, my wife was there, so at that point she had checked out of this. But one of the conversations that we had was about Denmark and capitalism. And he very clearly said Denmark is a capitalist country. We enjoy our capitalism. He says, one caveat, we understand that in order to keep that capitalistic country, meaning in order for some in the country to benefit magnificently, you have to give back. There's no way where you can have one side of the country exploit the other side in such a raw, over-the-top way and not have that country become unstable. What you guys have in the United States creates instability within the country itself. I say that to say this. When Bernie Sanders makes the point that, he wants socialism like in Denmark, what he's talking about is somewhat of a social democracy that is still a capitalistic country. People still have the ability to make God knows amounts of wealth. But there's something to be said for your workers not being raw and fully exploited. A better world is possible even within the capitalistic system, which I say that to say I think capitalism is inherently unstable. And I think there's always this penchant and this incentive in order to exploit your workers. But what Sanders is talking about when he's referencing Denmark and the Scandinavian countries is still capitalism. That needs to be very clear and very plain, because Republicans and all attack him on this front as if he's trying to create the socialist utopia. He is not. He's just talking about moving the ball to a better position for the American workers and for the 99% of the people in the country. I'm going to let him have a conversation with this gentleman from Denmark. It was a very good conversation. And in this conversation, he explains, or at the very least talks about, some of the Republican talking points that are utter nonsense and hogwash. Denmark rates as one of the happiest countries on earth. And he's going to go into why. A better world is possible. You don't necessarily have to fully be able to articulate what that is in order to move the ball in the direction of something better. Denmark, at least based on the happiness ratings, would be better. Let's let him have his conversation.
Not Donald Trump, I know.
Denmark.
Denmark. Denmark. Denmark. Denmark.
There's something rotten in Denmark.
Is this one American? Let me congratulate you for your enormous accomplishments in creating truly humane societies.
Hello.
Oh, hello, Sandra.
How are
So
you?
pleased to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Thanks for coming.
Of course.
Why is this happy man from this happy country lying to the American people? Poll after poll seems to suggest that Denmark is one of the happiest countries on earth. Dan, why do you think that is the case?
Well, first of all, it's not the weather. The short answer is that it's because of the welfare state. We have free healthcare, so you don't pay money when you go to your own normal doctors.
No co-payments, what we call co-payments?
We have small co-payment on some medicine, but then again, you can get special help for that if you...
And you know what our conservative friends will attack us on, people can't go to the doctor that they want.
In Denmark, you can go to the doctor that you want, you can go to the hospital that you want. You even have a right to choose a different hospital than the one that would be normally selected for you. If you feel that it's probably better for me to go to another part of the country because I feel that they have a better treatment, you can do that.
Let's back it up here. Remember, you're talking to mostly an American audience.
Sure.
And they don't believe you. Because we know that there's no such thing as a free lunch. The next thing you're probably going to tell me is education is free in Denmark as well. You see, these guys never stop lying.
It doesn't cost you anything. We don't pay tuition in Denmark. Actually, if you're a student, you get a grant from the government.
Not only is school
Stop there for the moment. You get a grant for the government. Why would they do that? Why would a country give its people a grant for the government as exposed to the exploitive relationship? I mean, after all, if that student wants to get into have a decent life, it is a prime opportunity to exploit that student. You want this contract? Sign this contract for $20,000 if you want a better life for yourself. Why would they do that? Because think about it for the moment. You should want the citizens of your country to go to school. Just as a society itself, you are better as a society when the people of your society can get an education. And if you are better as a society, you would want to incentivize people to get that education, not exploit them. Yes, there is an incentive for people to try to get that education, even within an exploitative relationship, because they want a better life. But from the context of a society and trying to make a better society, you get more people in school when you open those schools up to the people, and you get those people more opportunities. You have a better society. It makes all the sense in the world to try to incentivize people to go to school if you can by giving them a grant to do so. That makes perfect sense from the perspective of how can we make our society better? How can we get the largest number of people going to schools? How can we create this ability of people to be able to move through the strata of poverty to this higher thing? Republicans always talk about opportunity. You know what creates a large degree of opportunity? Allowing people to be able to go to school without having this exploitative relationship where you're trying to charge them $50,000 a year and putting this on the backs of them for the rest of their life. Makes all the sense in the world. Let's let him continue interrupting.
free, they actually pay you.
So it's not free, you pay me to go to college.
Basically, yes.
Not bad, eh?
All right, let me ask you this question. But our right-wing friends will say, well, that's all great, but you're paying a whole lot in taxes. You're paying a lot in taxes. Talk about that.
Well, it's true that we do pay a lot in tax, but we also get a lot back. You get the security that you know that if something happens to you, you lose your job, you'll get the social security. If you get sick, you'll get health care. When you look at it, what you actually get for the money, most people in Denmark, I will argue, are happy to pay the tax that they do.
It's a good deal, in other words.
It's a good deal. I know that President Trump said that Denmark is probably not that good a place to be a citizen. The White House now released a report in which it warns against Nordic socialism.
Total socialism.
Probably for him not. For the top 1%, it's probably better to live in the US. But for the other 99%, the average wage in Denmark are quite a bit higher than the average wage here. For instance, if you work at McDonald's in Denmark and you work at McDonald's in the US, you make less than half in the US of what a McDonald's worker make.
Oh, what are you saying? Yes, they pay more in taxes, but by the same token, you get more back. If you are part of the 99%, it makes all the sense in the world to want the security of your kids being able to go to college, of you being able to go to college, of you being able to get health care when you're sick, of you not getting all these ridiculous medical bills from these various doctors who try to take advantage and exploit you in the worst scenarios of your life. This makes all the sense in the world for somebody in the 99%. And by the way, even for the top 1%. Because the fact of the matter is, the workers are happier. The workers, I would argue, are probably more inclined to do that job as opposed to being pissed off in the situation that they're in. And with people having more money in their pocket, there's also more money that goes back into the economy that those people can put back into the services that they purchase and buy. There's more security. And I gotta be honest, my perspective is of the 99%. So that's what I care about. So let's let him finish. I think he's finishing up.
in Denmark.
That's the reality of socialism.
A country like Denmark is a country with cohesion, with social capital, with trust among people.
Is that the direction that we want to go in? Bernie Sanders likes it.
Scandinavia, not just Denmark, but Sweden and Norway and Finland, have accomplished something that they deserve enormous credit for. Think about the long chain of human history and the abysmal poverty that so many people have had to deal with, and the lack of education and the lack of healthcare. But this is not a perfect society. You'd be the first to most mention you have your share of problems, and you debate it every day. But that they have gone a long way toward eliminating poverty to provide a secure and decent standard of living.
Again, when I say a better world is possible, it's not that you necessarily need to have an exact fixed point in your head of where you're trying to go. There is no fixed point at the end of the road, meaning there is no end of living or end of society itself. You always move in a particular direction. Time doesn't stop in a scenario. Even if human beings eradicate themselves off the face of the earth, time will continue to go on. Or at the very least, whatever consciousness is around will process that data stream. But that said, I guess my point is, you just need to know what's a better direction. And and where we are now is not it. What Sanders is talking about is just a notch in a different direction that is in the best interest of a 99% that is vulnerable, and that, compared to other countries, is somewhat lacking. It's a good clip. I like it. And that's why I played it. And I think Sanders on this is right. If you guys enjoy the content, please feel free to share, like, subscribe. You can always support the PayPal Patreon. Thanks all.